Opportunity knocks once again. Now, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Your capital is at risk. You should be prepared to lose every penny that you invest in risky assets. But many of you missed out upon the opportunity to buy in, which was a generational opportunity that I made a video about in April with the Trump tariff stock market crash, where many stocks dived 20-30%, and there was an opportunity to buy in. I made a video, it had a thumbnail of a bear, and I said, opportunity of a lifetime, and you missed it. Now I'm just going to show you that I'm not bullshitting. I'm not doing this to brag or anything. I'm just showing it to you that I'm not bullshitting. I bought in during that time. Here's one of my ISAs. Somebody says maybe I shouldn't show this. Who cares? I bought in during that period of time when the market was in extreme fear on the fear and greed meter. That's when you should buy, when others are fearful. Warren Buffett said, be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. This was a moment of maximum fear. I did the video about it. I managed to max out my ISA during that time. Don't ask me where I got the money from, but I did, and I've worked really fucking hard ever since, and invested, and I managed to double the money. Almost. I had some money in there earlier. I managed to double the money that I put in. So, I'm not showing this to brag. I don't think there's anything particularly impressive about it. Just showing you I put my money where my mouth was and the opportunity that's available. And this was basically being really, really conservative, buying really conservative large cap stocks like Nvidia, Google, Robinhood, stocks that I mean, if I knew back then what I know now, I would have been incredibly degen and bought loads of low cap stocks. Like between 1 and 10 billion market cap, and go for the 10x's on everything. That's what I would have been doing. Instead, no, I managed to make this gain within what's that? Just a few months, double my money by buying safe, conservative boomer stocks. Okay, that's what was achievable with boomer stocks. And now, with Trump announcing 100% potential tariffs on China and tech controls and software restrictions in response to China's restricting rare earth metals again. Well, what's happened on Friday is that everything took a nosedive again. Now, this isn't as big as what happened in April, but it's another opportunity. Big stocks like Nvidia that might have been up, like I think on the day on Friday they were up 3%, and now they've closed down nearly 5%. That's like an 8% swing to the downside within the day. This red only shows a half of it because they're all like trending up. Then you have lots of mid to low cap stocks that really took a hammering. Some like down 10, 15, even 20%, that really just got dragged down by the whole thing, that didn't deserve it, and that as soon as confidence comes back, they will rebound, just like happened in April. Because we've seen this story play out before. We know the ending to this story if you've read The Art of the Deal. In 2 weeks' time, Trump was set to meet President Xi of China to hash out the trade deal with the US, and this is him slamming his fists on the table, trying to do a bluff or whatever. We know how this story ends because he literally wrote the book, The Art of the Deal, and this is bluster. In my opinion. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. But at some point, you've got to be willing to take a risk. You can only make big gains when everybody else is fearful. You can't wait till everybody starts buying back in to make the gains. Okay, be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy, because the dip always gets bought unless we're in an existential crisis and we really are about to fall off the edge of the cliff. Then every dip gets bought, and so it's a buying opportunity when things like this happen. Moreover, what happened yesterday was liquidation of crypto. as the riskiest asset, capital fled crypto yesterday. So there was a big dump happened. But really on Bitcoin, it was only like 10%. On some of the shit coins, it was worse, like 30%. On Ethereum, I think it was like 15 or 20%. And so you can say, SJJ, you were wrong. Admit it, you were wrong about Ethereum, and your account's gone to zero. Well, no, because what I said very clearly on Ethereum was that it's a generational play. I fully stand by it, and that's, but like it or not, that's where I'm putting my money where my mouth is again. Okay, here's my money where my mouth is. If you don't believe me, I'm stacking Ethereum. And I'm buying Bitmine Emergent Technologies, which is Tom Lee's company. Tom Lee, who is replicating Michael Saylor of the company Strategy. That's a bit of a mouthful, but Michael Saylor started MicroStrategy, now known as Strategy, to become a Bitcoin treasury and buy Bitcoin when it was low value and accrue value through holding and becoming a treasury or a store of value and become a leveraged play upon Bitcoin. And if you bought in on Strategy, you'd have done better than just buying the underlying asset of Bitcoin. Here's Tom Lee with Vitalik Buterin, the co-founder of Ethereum, and his company Bitmine Emergent Technologies is doing that, but for Ethereum. Why? You can say, "Oh, I said I've heard it all before." Well, if you go away, remembering nothing else, we are in a technological revolution with AI and the digitization of everything, and you can either see it or you can't. Boomers and idiots and people with their blinkers on are saying it's a bubble, and yes, there's exceptional exuberism, and yes, some things are going to run up too far and then tumble back down, but in general, the overall play is that we are in a technological revolution, maybe the last great technological revolution, and what a time to be alive, because you're in it right now. There's something known as an adoption curve. I remember this thing being floated around like in 2018 or something about Bitcoin, where you have innovators who can see things happening at the start and get in at the start, then early adopters, the early majority, and then once like everything is here and it's all rolled out, you have the late majority getting on board and laggards who still deny what's going on. Well, we are still super freaking early, dude. Super freaking early. It's a generational revolution that's taking place. And if you can't see it, if you think that this is fake, have you even used AI? Have you used any of the... I mean, these are early systems. It was only invented a couple of years ago. And if you think that this is all fake and useless and that all the companies like Nvidia, Meta, Google, Amazon that are piling billions, hundreds of billions of dollars into building out this technology, they're in a prisoner's dilemma. Each one of them has to keep investing in it and building because the others are doing the same thing. They can't take the foot off the gas because they'll lose. You can either see what's playing out or you can't. And a generational play to get on with this is the tokenization system. Vlad Tenev, CEO of Robinhood, says that tokenization is a freight train that's going to eat traditional finance. What is tokenization? Tokenization is digitizing traditional assets, legacy assets. Things like, think about it, you want to buy a house or a car. This involves like traditional, literal paper. You literally have to exchange paper documents. I mean, what kind of world are we living in? Sounds like the Middle Ages or something. We're heading into the future, dude. Do you think in 1,000 years when you buy a house? Do you think even in 100 years or even in 50 years when you buy a house, you're going to be exchanging pieces of paper? No, it's going to be a digital asset. Think of what an old style system it is, with all the middlemen in, all taking a cut, how cumbersome, how long drawn out, how inefficient it all is, when we now have blockchain technology and assets can be digitized, tokenized, and literally on a secure blockchain that is irreversible and secure, so that you know who is the owner of what, and you either are the owner of the token or you're not. This is all coming for all kinds of assets. The legacy world is yet to be tokenized, and it's coming. Here is Vlad talking about it.
Let's talk about tokenization, because some people say that this could be the new ETF of finance. How do you see that playing out?
I said earlier in our chat, I think tokenization is a freight train and it'll eat the entire financial system. But I think it'll be a very positive thing. I think that the financial system will be largely willing to go through this transition. I think what you're going to see is, outside of the U.S., where there's a little bit less legacy infrastructure, and the big incumbents can consider it net new business. You'll see it, getting market dominance first, and then it'll be somewhat backported. You could see this in Robinhood's business. We launched stock tokens in the EU, which are tokenized versions of several hundred top names. We also introduced and demonstrated tokenization of OpenAI and SpaceX private companies. And as soon as that happened, we started getting lots of calls, not just from companies that wanted to know how to get involved, but also from large established counterparties, market makers, institutions. And they were asking us, they were like, wait a minute, how do we get involved? Can we provide liquidity here? Can we plug into your European offering? So I'm very optimistic that this is going to be a big shift, and we're at the very beginning of it. We're going to get to a point, I think, in the next probably 5 to 10 years where it is ubiquitous. I mentioned in my talk that tokenization is a freight train. It can't be stopped, and I think eventually it'll eat the whole global financial system.
So, what is tokenization? It is putting things on the blockchain. Which blockchain? Well, the leader is Ethereum. So that's my play, dude. That's me putting my balls on the table. That's what I believe is the next 10x. Here's Tom Lee talking about it.
Ethereum to me is the new Wall Street. In 1971, the dollar went off the gold standard. Okay. Now, everyone thought in 1971 the play was gold. But actually, in 1971, the dollar became synthetic. It no longer was backed by anything. And that's when Wall Street stepped in and said, okay, we got to make sure that the euro, or the German franc or whatever, German mark or the French franc doesn't become dominant. So Wall Street built products to make sure everyone used a synthetic dollar. Wall Street was the big play in 1971. In 2025, we're making everything synthetic. We're starting with tokenizing the dollar, and then, as you know, Wall Street's going to tokenize equities and everything I just listed. Massive opportunity. Ethereum is in a super cycle because of that.
Why am I telling you this? Because look, crypto tanked, didn't it? So you might say, well, SJJ, what an idiot. What an idiot. You were buying in up here. Yes, I was, because you can never time the bottom. I'm buying in down here too, because for me, this is a generational play. I'm looking at where is this going to be in 10 years' time? For the next week, I'll be brutally honest with you, for the next week, I'm looking at, whilst I'm buying some Ethereum and stuff, I don't have a lot of money to go around at the moment, but there's a much more safer play, much safer play, is to pick up one of these companies that didn't deserve to get knocked down 5 or 10%, because we know how the story ends. Trump's going to make a deal with President Xi or whatever, and there's probably going to be another flush on Monday. These things are probably going to go down even more on Monday. Who knows? But there's an opportunity. It might be another red week. I don't know. But at some point, if you're willing to put your balls on the table, if you want to take advantage of an opportunity when things are down, like I did here, then you have to be willing to do it while there's still fear. You can't wait till the situation resolves itself. You have to say, long term, are we about to go off the edge of the cliff, or is this a nothing burger? And I say it's a nothing burger because if it's not, it doesn't matter anyway. So you have to be willing to put your money on the table somewhere. You can't time the bottom, but you can decide: is this a good? Is this an opportunity? Is this a value opportunity?
There's $250 billion worth of stablecoins. The vast majority of those are minted on Ethereum. Then the Genius Act was passed by this administration and this Congress, and that greenlighted the proliferation of stablecoins onto the blockchain. So banks are now building stablecoin products. That Treasury Secretary Bessent thinks that could get to $4 trillion. That's exponential growth, burning gas on Ethereum. And then we have Project Crypto, which is the SEC, wanting Wall Street to build on the blockchain. Now, all of that collectively, from a Wall Street perspective, is like 1971 for the dollar.
Okay, so this is the 1971 moment for Ethereum. Is Tom Lee's thesis. You can either agree with it or not. Now, what I wanted to, if you made it this far, here's the most important video that you've not yet seen, which is the play of the US government. People are saying, well, Trump is just like a scammer and a grifter, and that's why he's interested and his family's interested in crypto. Well, could there be more to it? Here's the other side of that coin, which is that stable coins represent a play for US hegemony of the and world dominance in markets and this securing of the US dollar as the global reserve currency for the next 100 years. And Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary of the United States, explains this in this 1-minute clip right here that you've never seen.
There's a new book called King Dollar. A journalist who's followed Treasury for about 40 years.
Yeah.
And he talks about every time there was a narrative that the US was going to lose reserve currency status, why it's never happened. And
Because crypto, that seems to be a threat to the dollar, doesn't it?
I think it's the opposite.
Oh, really?
I think stable coins could reinforce dollar supremacy, because with stable coins could end up being one of the largest buyers of US treasuries, T-bills. So all of a sudden, if you are using a stable coin in Nigeria that's backed by the US dollar, you don't actually have to have dollars. It's on your phone. You can transact. So I think there's a very good chance that crypto is actually one of the things that locks in dollar supremacy.
You can either see it, and you can be a part of it, and you can put your balls on the table and make your play and make money off of it, or you can't, or you're going to be one of these laggards. Yeah, it's all going to happen around you, and you're going to be one of these herpaderp people going, I don't know, 15-minute cities, and central bank digital currencies, all the conspiracy it's coming from, it's taking my privacy away, blah, 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 blah. I hate it, I don't like it. You can be one of these people who preach doom and gloom. And, oh man, I fucking hate it. The world's changing around me and I can't do anything about it, man. These people. Or you can make some money on it. You can get your financial independence on it, because it's coming like a freight train, whether you like it or not. That's the thesis. Okay, that's the thesis. And that's why I'm bothering to say to you, there is another opportunity. SJJ's coming along again and saying, here's another opportunity, and it's an even better one right now than it was before. And it's a generational opportunity, and I don't know if it's going to go down further from here. Okay, so next week it might keep going down, but in 10 years, you can see that this is a generational opportunity that's playing out, and you've got to be in it to win it. Now, what else? What else did I want to say? Yeah, a couple of things. Really important. I've said from the start, you should only risk money that you're willing to lose. And I really, really mean that. It's really important. So you should work harder. Okay, you should take an extra job. You should do whatever it takes to earn extra money that you can then invest. That is extra money. That isn't money that you're leveraged against or that you need or that you've borrowed. Because in a situation where you get liquidated, where things drop 20% or 30%, then that is literally, unfortunately, like this guy, you unaliving yourself in your Lambo. God forbid. Here's another example of that. All my savings, 6 years of DCAing, got liquidated last night. I was one of the people who never tried to time the market while telling others to stay away from leverage. Just DCA. Yet here I am. Basically because he got overconfident and he took leverage out. Leverage is, particularly on things like crypto or in investment accounts, you can take leverage out against your assets, which is basically taking a loan out. You can get something like 100 times your capital. Take a loan out for like 100 times your capital in a crypto account. That's just crazy. And then things drop 30% overnight. Whoops, you're liquidated. Don't ever do that. God forbid. Work harder. God damn it. What's wrong with you? Go out and deliver pizzas. Do whatever it takes. Use your brain. Worst case scenario is what SJJ does, which is delivers burgers. Okay. You probably have a brain that you can monetize and you can make some extra income. Somehow find a way to make £1,000 extra a month and start investing it. Or be one of these people who believe, listen to these people who tell you that, you know, the world's about to collapse and you need to stack cigarettes and ammunition and silver coins because you're going to be bartering your way through some kind of apocalypse that never ever happens, that you've been saying is going to happen for the next 25 years. Or some of these people who just say, oh, the world's changing around me and I fucking hate it. Oh my God. Isn't it all shit? The world's going to shit, man. Meanwhile, send me all your money. Opportunity knocks for those who can see it. Where are I? 25 minutes on this video. What else? Let me address anything else then. Somebody said to me, SGJ, how do you buy crypto or whatever? Well, I said, look, if you don't really know the answer, if you don't know how to buy crypto, do it the easy way. Go to coinbase.com, set up an account and just buy it and leave it on there. Yes, people will say that's not secure because not your crypto, not your keys. And that's true, but there's a problem with stacking something for what is a generational play. Like, what's it going to be worth in 5 or 10 years? Is that in 5 or 10 years you are responsible for making sure that you have your private keys and that you can still access that in 5 or 10 years time. And if you lose those private keys, you've lost everything. And that's a bigger risk than just leaving it on somewhere like Coinbase. At the point it becomes too large an amount of money, split it around some institutions, and at that point hopefully you'll have learned anyway how to secure your keys and look after them, and then you'll be responsible enough to maybe use cold wallets and stuff. But something like Coinbase is a big enough institution that's been hacked now and has literally insured people's money in the past, that battle hardened. Basically, if you don't know what you're doing, this is how you do it. Okay, and don't ever do something the other way where you're responsible for your keys and whatever. In my opinion, until you know, you don't have to ask the question, how do I do it? When you don't have to ask that question, you might be responsible enough to trust that in 10 years time you'll still have access to your keys, rather than it just being in what is like a crypto version of a TradFi account, like just buying on Coinbase and leaving it on Coinbase and trusting that Coinbase will be around in 5 to 10 years. I know that's That's controversial advice, but it's mine. The other thing that you have to be aware of if you buy any crypto is that when you come to cash out crypto, they in any regulated country, it's probably any country in the world in 5 or 10 years, right? The exchange is going when you send it to the exchange is going to say to you, right, now prove the provenance of this money, where it came from. And in 10 years' time, if your money was off the exchange and sat in a cold wallet, you're going to have to prove in 10 years' time the origin of that money right now, or they won't give it to you, or you risk getting it seized. So, and nobody ever talks about this. It's AML, anti-money laundering regulations, and KYC, know your customer rules, that all banks have to abide by since the Patriot Act and since all the crypto regulations have come in to regulate crypto. These exchanges, if you just buy it on Coinbase with your debit card and the provenance is detailed on their system, you bought it from them with your debit card, therefore the provenance is known. If it's from some random cold wallet in 10 years' time and it's worth $1 million, they're going to go like, whoa, stop, account frozen. What is the provenance of this crypto? And you are going to literally have to provide documents as to where you bought that crypto with 10 years ago. Documents that in 10 years I guarantee you will not have. So it's an even bigger problem. All right, I think that's everything. What an opportunity awaits you. Lucky, lucky people. If only you have eyes to see and balls to take a risk. With capital that you are willing to lose, that may go to zero, that may go down even more next week, that may lose 30-50% of its value, who knows, but you can never time the bottom, and at some point you have to buy when others are fearful. Otherwise you'll be coming again to me in another 3 or 4 months' time when everything is doubled in value and saying, SJJ, when's the next opportunity, or everything's too expensive, blah 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 blah. This is your latest PSA, public service announcement. Okay, stop being a poor. Okay, become an investor. Okay, do it, figure it out, do something to work harder, get off the sofa, work harder, make some extra money, invest it, put your balls on the table and become wealthy. God damn it. And then you might have the wealth and power to actually be able to change society for the better rather than just moaning about it from the sidelines. Okay, good luck everybody. See you in the next one.